Next trick, I'll make you disappear. Now you see me, now you don't.
Alrighty everybody, welcome back. Obesity Prime here, and like I said, this is going to be primarily focused on Shaco Support laning phase. Now if you haven't checked out the first video, which talks about how to get started at the most efficient possible way, go ahead and check that video out. Hopefully I'll link it up above right here. You can go check that, then come back to this. Otherwise, let's get started with this. This is part 2, laning phase. Try and keep this straightforward. Try to keep this as short as possible, but there's actually a lot that goes into here, so this might be the longest one. It'll give you the most value, so go ahead and drop a like. I appreciate you. So let's get started. So there's one critical theme that goes into this particular video that will help you improve your overall gameplay, helping you to rank up, because if you stay consistent and constantly win, at least in terms of a week, you go positive in LP, even if it's like 5 LP, eventually you will climb. So talk about consistency, and to stay consistent and do the best that you can, there is one critical aspect of this entire laning phase that you have to keep in mind. I know some of y'all probably don't use it as often as you think. For sure, there's definitely a lot of people that play this game that don't, and it's actually pretty simple. So if you're standing up, sit down. If you're sitting down, lay down, because you're going to be shocked at how simple it is. You ready? Ready? Think! Use your fucking brain. Think about stuff. 80% of the information you need to play well is already given to you guys, right? You get to see your champions on your team. You get to see the enemy champions. You get to see their ruins. You should know their skills. You should know their itemization, or at least the items they're going to go. For example, Samira, Immortal Shield Bow. Wukong, Divine Sunderer, Nasus, Divine Sunderer, right? Hecarim, Divine Sunderer. Like, you know what these people are going to take. You should know this. On top of that, you have wards, right? These magical things that give you vision. They allow you to see people. Your mini-map allows you to see where the enemy players are for the most part. That's why I said 80%. That other 20% is them in the fog of war. And if you don't have any wards, yeah, it's going to be even harder. So you see what I'm saying? If you think about things, you will play better. Now, I'm going to focus on a couple things here before we get into examples and things like that. And that is, if you have, and it happens to everyone, if you have trolls, if you have inters, AFKers, just chalk it up to a loss. You know, it's frustrating. I get frustrated too, but it's bound to happen. This is League of Legends. Just at that point, just be like, fuck it, go limit test, you know, push the boundaries a little bit. I mean, it's a loss anyways. But if your team is smurfing the hell out of it 4v5, then definitely try to win that game. On top of that, also, by playing Shaco Support, you're probably going to always get flamed at most parts, most of the time. So if your mental is weak, and I know some of you have big egos, but if it is weak, easily tilted, mute all. Just do it. It's simple. If you don't want to mute all, just mute the person that's talking shit. Mute, bup, bup, bup. I had an Ezreal ask me to cheese in the enemy tri-bush. I muted his ass because he's stupid. He doesn't know how to play my champion, and you ain't gonna tell me how to play my champion. So I muted him. We ended up winning. So here are some fundamentals that you're gonna learn right off the bat. You have to look at the matchup. There's some things you have to look at. Primarily bot lane, right? Where you are. Look at your ADC versus their ADC. Let's put aside their skill level, whether one's a smurf and one's not. It really doesn't matter that much at that point. Actually, no, skill does matter. The champion choice is what doesn't matter as much. Because I'm sure a smurf can dominate some fucking newbie playing Samira or whatever meta ADC you think it is. Okay? Well, just look at the concept of the ADC. Are they a scaler or are they a lane bully? Example. Ezreal, Vayne, scalers. Bullies, Tristana, Draven. You see what I'm saying? And then you gotta look at your champion, Shaco, versus whatever champion they are. Whether they're a healer, Sona, Yumi. If they're an enchanter, Janna, Lulu. If they're hard engaging, Nautilus, Leona, Thresh, Blitz, Pyke. Or if they're a poke mage, Xerath, Vel'Koz, Lux, and Bran. Right? Whoever they choose can kind of influence the way that you're gonna play and the choices that you should make. Next, you have to look at the junglers. You run the possibility of getting ganked, obviously. In one of my games, kid you not, the new ganked bot lane, at least attempted to gank bot lane, 6 times within 40 minutes. I remember looking at the clock. I'm like, why is this dude building a fucking fortress around bot lane? He got 2 successful ones early and 4 failed attempts. And they went on to lose because top lane and mid lane on their team got their ass beat. And they weren't really successful bot lane. So yeah, we won that game. So pay attention to the jungler, know what kind of jungler they are. There's like essentially 2 types of junglers in my point of view. The unique style ones and the straightforward ones. Unique style ones are the ones that can gank you in multiple ways that make it hard to necessarily counter them. For example, Zac, Kayn, Shaco, Elise, Hecarim and Rammus can all, Rammus comes in really fast and his ult makes it a little bit harder to kind of play against. Same with Hecarim's ult, right? Those are all pretty unique style. Evelyn, I throw her in there as well. The unique style to where you can't necessarily know all the ways that they're going to come. If you were to contrast that with junglers such as Olaf, pre-level 6 Shyvana, Kindred, Karthus, they're going to come straight through the lane. I mean, and if you're in low elo, the chances of them coming around from the back through the tower, if you're on the top side, I guess, is very rare. It's happened, but it's rare. More than likely, they're going to run up through the lane. So you can ward in the river, you can ward their try, you can ward in lane closer to their tower so you can see them kind of sneak in. Like, they're pretty straightforward. You know where they're going to come from. And then lastly, you have to look at 2 other things. The mid laner and top laner. If top laner has like a global, pretty much just Shen. Or if they have TP, you gotta be wary of the TP, you gotta be wary of the Shen ult. Having the Shen ult makes it a little bit risky to take place in the bot lane, especially since you're Shaco and stuff like that. Same thing with their mid laner. Who is the mid laner on the enemy team? Is it a Galio? Is it a Twisted Fate? Those are globals in a sense, yes. Makes it harder for you guys to pick up kills in the bot lane. Or if they're like high mobility, Kinyana, Talon, Ziggs, Fizz, those make it hard. You gotta watch your minimap. You gotta think. You gotta ward. You gotta be careful of those things. And those play influences on the bot lane, whether or not you want to think so or not. Well, the truth is they do. All right, so let's hop into the laning phase. I know in my last video I said within the first 4 minutes. Technically, it's first 2 minutes, but I said what I said. It's too late to change it. So we're starting this roughly around like a minute 30, a minute 35. That's when everyone comes into lane, right? Now, I didn't point this out on the first one, so I'm gonna point it out here. And it was brought up to me because of that stupid Ezreal player. He told me to ward this tri-bush over here. I mean to set up boxes there. The reason why I do not set up boxes there is because the odds go against you in getting any type of benefit from that. So the benefit of a cheese is very, very nice. There's a lot. I count 7, 6. But let's just look at it. If I were to go into that bush and put boxes there, how many ways do the enemy ADC and support have to get to the lane to farm CS, right? That's their goal. That's their goal destination. That's where they want to get. Well, they can come through the top, which is where we want them to come if we want to get this box cheese. They can go through the middle and end up going down, which is a miss, and therefore I waste mana, I waste my boxes, I waste time in lane. Not to mention if my ADC's there as well. And then there's just going the long way straight through like the tower. Now there's also a chance that their jungler could be there with them as well, right? Level 2 Jarvan. Maybe they stole Shaco and they're right there and they're gonna go to Krugs and you guys try to do some shit in that bush. They're not that far from getting over there. The jungler has a level advantage. Not to mention if you need to run away, you're so far from your tower. It's just not worth it to be in that bush. That's why I choose to cheese the way I cheese, which is actually in lane, where you know for a fact they're going to be, right? Now, of course, Sweeper is one of the biggest counters to Shaco, along with Pink Wards. If they're constantly buying Pink Wards, if they're double Sweeper bot, you're going to have a hard time. Point blank. Unless you get some serious jungle help, it's going to be so hard. And yeah, Sweeper can ruin the tri-bush, and Sweeper can ruin your cheese in lane. But you still have a better chance of getting them, of achieving a goal that the cheese provides. So here's what the cheese provides if it works out correctly. Number 1, you damage them. You cause them damage, they use their pots. If they don't have a healer, you know, they're using their pots, that's good. That means you have a pot advantage. It can possibly keep them, the ADC, from getting the first 3 melee minions, giving your ADC a gold lead and an XP lead, sort of. You can kill one of them. You can kill both of them. That's number 4. And if you kill both of them, not only do they miss XP and CS, but you get XP, you get gold, you get first blood gold, you get an XP advantage. Everything of this cheese works out in your favor. That's why it's highly recommended by me. If you want to double up boxes for your jungler, or even triple box your jungler, that is up to you. I'm not saying it's wrong. You have to have a lot of confidence in your jungler. For me personally, fuck a jungler, because they're always terrible, they're always bad. Why would I risk my early game when I know you bitches aren't gonna fucking gank me, or, you know, provide any ganks? It's like they don't want to gank for some reason. Even though we're pushed up under tower, they don't want to gank. I don't know it. And the concept of reganking doesn't really cross their small brain. If you go down and you clear the wards and there's no wards, and you leave and they decide to push up again, come your dumb ass back down here and get the kill. I mean, you cleared the wards, you know there's no wards, but they're still pushing up. I don't know, they decide to go clear top cam and try to help top. I don't know. Either way, level 2, that's the most important thing. Level 2 advantage. If you're uncomfortable, if you have a strong ADC, maybe Itriston or Draven, you're probably gonna want that level 2 advantage first, or as opposed to maybe a Vayne or an Ezreal. Not saying that it can't work out, but I feel more comfortable having one of them, maybe over like a Senna or a Vayne or something like that. So when it comes to, if you don't know, you should know this by now, you get level 2 in the bot lane off clearing 1 full wave, 6 minions, and the first 3 melee minions. So you need to keep track as a support how many melee minions are left for you to kill and for them to kill. And if you see that you have 2 melee minions and your melee minion is about to die, they're gonna get level 2 and they're gonna all in your ass. So you need to back up, or you need to at the start really sacrifice a little bit of your HP to get those 3 minions killed. That's why I would more than likely recommend you guys take the relic shield, or you know, the tankier version of the support item, because it has an execute. You're guaranteed to kill 2 melee minions, and that means you only need to fight over 1. And most of the time for me, it does get me level 2 advantage. There are some times where it doesn't work, and that's only because your ADC pushes out. He'll like start to back up as soon as you see the Thresh walking up. The Thresh is walking up, autoing minions. When you have 3, when you only have 1 left to kill and they have 3, like, why are you running away? Stupid ass, get up here, kill that minion, all in this bitch ass Thresh. He ain't gonna do shit. It's pretty simple. And that brings me to another thing of skill level. Like, you gotta know your ADC, whether or not they're puss, whether or not they're too aggro. Like, there's such a thing as being too aggro, too aggressive. There is an example, hopefully I have it here, I'll put it up if I do, of where I place a ward down and we clearly see the enemy jungler coming, and I'm Shaco, so I can Q away an invisibility. I even put down, I believe, 2 boxes. I'll have to relook at it. And what happens to our ADC? Big fucking dumbass ends up dying. How do you give this kill? I don't know. Honestly, don't know how you give this kill. Greed? I mean, if you would have just backed off, you're wasting the jungler's time. The jungler gets no gold, misses out on XP. You know, he falls further behind, especially if your jungler's out there wave clearing and stuff like that. The Sivir turned this into a successful gank, even though it had absolutely no chance of being a fucking successful gank. Either way, I mean, you just have to deal with these idiots. It's what happens. That's why I say mute all, because as soon as you tell them that they're stupid, they want to talk about how we don't have a support. Imagine if I had a support. You'd still fucking suck, because you're stupid enough to fall for something like this. You're stupid enough to die even if I had another fucking meta support. That's the thing. You get to see how good an ADC is when you play a non-broken support like Leona. I mean, if you play a support that, you know, requires more thinking, shit like that, you know, you can see how good an ADC player is. And I've seen some really good ADC players. I've seen some of you. Shout out. But for the most of y'all wannabes, you're fucking trash. You don't deserve a meta champion to carry your bitch asses into higher elo, because you're just not there. You're not good enough. Okay, so back to the laning phase. Whew, I be getting off on these bitches, you know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much it. Let's just talk about box placement, because that's pretty much where it is. Right after I tell you that you can self-gank your own lanes, right? You can self-gank behind this wall. You can self-gank behind the little cove. If they put 2 wards in the bushes, but you're kind of up, you're pushed up, go behind the wall, Q in. You can do stuff like that. Don't be afraid to self-gank. If they're hiding under the tower on the top side, you can go around. Make sure you sweep first, and you can Q over the wall as if you were a jungle Shaco and get them like that. Q over, ult, send your clone under the tower to explode. Boom, they get feared back out. Hopefully you guys can pick something up. I really like that boof. Clone diving, I guess what you can call it. You can do from the top side. You can even do it from the side bush. I struggle at this for some reason now. Like, it doesn't work as consistently as I would like it. I need to get back into the practice tool and practice that. And I would recommend that too. Get in the practice tool, practice your queuing, making sure they're flawless and stuff like that. It really helps. And then let's talk about boxing before we close this out, because this mostly takes place between the 2-minute mark and about 14 minutes, or as soon as like the first tower falls. That's the end of the laning phase. So box placement, again, use your brain, think about what Tristana, what Samir want to accomplish to kill your ADC, right? She's gonna rocket jump, Tristana's gonna rocket jump, Samir's gonna do her little dash thing. When they do that, they go in, they engage. So where should you be placing your boxes? Near your ADC, just behind the minion line, right? If you're warding in certain spots, like I mentioned, against those pretty straightforward junglers, you put 1 ward there, up in the tri-bush or in the river. You put the other one in lane, so you can see if they try to sneak in through the brush, and you box around the other side. Maybe put 1 or 2 boxes behind you, put 1 towards the river. You can never go wrong with 1 in the river. Now, how far out you put it does dictate some things. For example, it's better to put your box a little bit further out in the river if you're going up against someone like Nunu, because he's going to run in with his ball. If he's coming through river, he'll get feared and the ball will just lose traction. As opposed to some champions, you may want it tighter in the lane, but still on the river side. I don't know. Just think about where they're going to try and get you from. If you're 100% not sure, keep it tight along this, not necessarily the center line, but tight along the minion line. So there's a line that the minions walk through. You want to keep the box tight. And if you're not sure how to do that, go to the practice tool, watch the minions come down the lane, and just, turn the cooldowns, place boxes, and memorize where you put those boxes. And you'll see the little rings, I've done this, where they'll come down and okay, if I place a box here, it'll be really tight to the line, but the minions won't trigger it, right? And that'll help you with defense. Make sure your rings touch the wall, because you want the enemy to slip by just because you didn't put the box close enough to the wall to cover them, to fear them, right? All right, so that's pretty much all it is. Sometimes you're just gonna lose. Sometimes you're just gonna lose the bot lane matchup. It's fine. Your jungler doesn't want to gank for you. You guys aren't really strong early game against a Kog'Maw Lulu. You're just gonna lose. Do your best not to die. That's the pro play here, guys. Do your best not to die. Look for possible ganks mid if you want to. Make sure you try to clear the wards. That way your jungler could attempt to try to get a gank if they want to. If they're pushing up on the tower, go around the back, sweep, clear those wards. That way you can possibly, add some pressure to them, because they think they're safe when they got 3 wards out there. But if you just go around the back, clear them, now they got no vision, it's risky, and they can get killed. And I mean, I can't teach you how to play mechanically better. I just can't tell you that. I can tell you what to do, but even then you still probably won't execute it as well. I don't even execute well. I'm not saying I'm the best. I make stupid ass mistakes too, but I kind of can identify them and say, yeah, that was my fault. I'm not opposed to saying I mess up. I do mess up a lot. But I also say, rewatch your games. If there's a game you guys are getting stomped on, record it or just save it and go back and watch it. Spend some time watching. Watch what you do. It'll help. That's what I do. And in case you didn't know, I made it to Masters as Shaco Support this season. Peaked Masters. Hey, how many of you want to get into Masters? How many of you want to get into Diamond? I know a lot of you want to get a Platinum, and a lot of you want to get a Gold. Imagine getting into Masters playing Shaco Support. It's possible. Alright guys, I'm not special. I'm no pink warning carnated. I just try to learn from my mistakes, try to get better, trying to learn the matchups. You can win against every single matchup. I have. Whatever ADC support combo you want to put that you say is broken, I've beaten them. And I've lost to them. So it's definitely possible to beat them. It's hard. Some are harder than others. They're all hard. You're Shaco. You don't have a pick Shaco, you win. It's not like that. It's pick Shaco, you make it hard for them, but they'll still beat your ass if you mess up. Yeah, just watch your stuff, watch my stuff, watch any other Shaco player stuff, watch what they do during the game. I mean, most of them play support, not support, jungle, but I guess you watch me or someone else who plays support Shaco, or any other support in general. Watch what they do. Keep the wards up, clear the wards, be around objectives. That's mostly for the next video, so I'm combining. I know I said 4, but I'm going to combine mid game and late game into one. Otherwise, they'd be like 8 minutes long each. And I think that might be a little short. So we'll combine those into one. What to do mid late game, because it's pretty much the same thing. I'll talk about that in the next video when I get around to that, guys. If you got some value out of this, be sure to like it. Comment down below on something maybe I missed. I can't give you everything. I'm not trying to make this 2 hours long and just rant and talk about shit like that, okay? Try to give you the core concepts that you need to get better, and hopefully with this information you can get better. Alright guys, see you in the next one. Take it easy. Cheers.
Next trick, I'll make you disappear.